We're finally worried about the real threat, and the real threat has always been China.
It wasn't.
I mean, Afghanistan,
9/11.
9/11 being what 9/11 was,
tough.
and a terrorist event. Yes, we've dealt with that issue. Osama bin Laden's dead. He's the mastermind. We're destroying Al Qaeda actively.
And so all the while we've been spending all this money on this war,
Right.
and fighting the war on terrorism and spending all that money. China was doing what?
Building their army and handling their
Mobilizing.
business. More importantly, handling their business in the parts of the world that we forgot about.
That we forgot.
While we were busy in Afghanistan and Iraq and in all of these Central Asian republics,
we were
the
not
Chinese
investing.
were in Africa saying, hey, listen, we know you got titanium.
I know, and what we
know
doing
you
in
got
Africa,
oil.
we sitting here making Africa look like I mean, the way I see it, the media totally exploits the more negative, the more the plightful images
Right.
of Africa. You know,
Right.
we don't see you right.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna edit it out. We gonna keep it rolling. You know, we don't see how resource rich Africa is. We don't see why initially when we went in there and colonized Africa and started taking out the resources and all that stuff. Like this is, it's just it's ridiculously rich.
And that's what the Chinese say. The Chinese
And
say,
they
listen,
going in and building infrastructure.
the Chinese have
They're
recognized
building
that
roads.
they have a need for raw materials. But what can they give you? They can always give you finished product and expertise.
Right.
And, you know, the Chinese effectively go in and say, what has the white man done for you lately?
Oh Lord have mercy.
What have the European and Western
Right.
powers done for you lately?
Except take.
Except take.
This is
What did
not.
they
This is
give you?
not. This is not like trying to be like, you know, oh, the white man did it. Like, no, I'm
No,
not saying
not
that.
at all.
It's just true. Historically, when they have gone in and colonized, it has
Right.
basically been.
So the Chinese say,
disastrous.
we don't want to colonize,
for-
but this is what we'll do. You give me mineral rights to titanium, uranium, gold, zinc, whatever materials you have, oil, whatever it is you got. I'll build you roads, I'll build you airports, I'll build you hospitals, I'll build you
Right.
schools, and then I'll leave my best technical experts there
Right.
to teach you how to maintain it and to do it for yourself.
And become more sustainable and build
Right.
as a nation and stuff
But
like
in
that.
return,
Now, is there?
I get
come on,
20
there's
years
some-
of material rights.
Right. So there's still. I mean, there's still a lot being taken away, but.
It's
And
more.
overall,
it's
do you
better-
think that African countries will gain? Do you think this will be a positive thing?
I think it's a
They'll
better
gain from
deal.
it?
I'm always Africa for the Africans. I think that
Well, any
African,
country for themselves. It's not about right. Like any country
for the yeah.
should
But-
want to build up itself. But in order for some of the African countries to do this reasonably,
Right.
and more quickly to be able to compete with the rest of the global economy
They
that's
have to
moving
find-
extremely fast.
They have to find a different partner than the traditional powers, and that partner's China.
And that partner has become China.
Right.
And now China's about to start influencing the whole goddamn world. About to start.
Not
What am I
about to
talking
start.
about?
Has started.
They are really a
When you go into
power.
Walmart, you're not buying American goods. You're buying Chinese-made
Right.
goods. Why? Because they're cheap.
Right.
They're cheap. They're easy to find. No
Yeah,
disrespect
yeah.
to Walmart.
No, but the thing is, we sit here and we say that we don't. Well, people advocate no free trade. People advocate like, you know, buy only U.S. goods, but then nobody wants to actually put out of their purse to actually do that.
But
Right.
that gets into our whole other issue.
Like, because people don't even know really what they buying,
Right.
where they're buying from, where the things are made. We're not looking into it. We're really not the responsible consumers. You know, we want it to be fed to us. We want the TV advertisements or the media to tell us, and that's a freaking joke because they're lying most of the time about things or kind of twisting the truth.
Right.
Because there's whatever political or corporate agenda. Listen, I mean, come on, we all know the media. Like, I could not rely on the Channel 6 News or whatever local news station to give me information that I need to make responsible decisions as a citizen. I need to go out and I need to get that information. But we don't want to do that. We just want to be fearful and xenophobic, which means we hate the outside. You know, we hate what we don't understand. Other cultures are scary. Ooh, they speak that crazy ching chong
They eat that.
language. They eat cat and dogs, and we come up with all this crazy stuff when the reality is, while we're sitting here afraid and making up excuses for why we should block out certain things or why we should ridicule or mock certain cultural differences that we see, you know, all the while, these motherfuckers done got education out the wazoo. They're mathematicians. They're the scientists. They're the ones that are the engineers in our country. You know, there was, I think it's like an eighth of the citizens here of the citizens here from like I guess other countries started up like a quarter or 25% of the engineering startups.
Right.
Like they're the technology.
Well, that's the other
like
thing
that's where the money is at.
Unlike the rest of the so-called third world countries, where everyone escapes, those who are intelligent enough, who are skilled enough, who are talented enough, escapes from where they're from and comes to America and gets education and then contributes to America. The Chinese keep everything homegrown for the most part.
No, they bring people here.
Right.
They got a lot of people
No,
here.
no. People left China to come here, but the Chinese have their own intellectual infrastructure that is very solid, and that's why they can afford to loan out to the Africans who do not have because they're
because they're solid. And so, okay, so we can't.
They're all over the place.
We can go on and on and on about China. Right. The whole idea is I really want to motivate people to understand more of what's going on with our international policy. What's going why are our politicians it's not to say like one agenda is better than the other, but just to kind of understand like why certain politicians support different things and where does it come from? Where does the policy come from? And I chose China. I mean, I could have chosen a number of countries that are rising and becoming, politically more influential and economically more influential, which really matters. The power of the purse. Sorry, but that's what matters. But China specifically, because they're the number 2, right? They're the second, and so they're saying that China's economy will overtake ours by like 2050,
right?
Or 20, like in my lifetime, like it's crazy given the gap. If you know what the gap is, like how much more how much stronger our economy is and has been for years. For the number 2 to be able to overtake ours in a lifetime.
Right. In a seeable lifetime.
In a foreseeable lifetime. And I'm not, I wasn't born yesterday, obviously. So it's just like, that's just crazy to me. And this is something that we need to pay attention to, something that we need to look into. And I want to hear comments. I want to see what you guys think about this. We only hit on a few things, but it's huge. And I want to know, what I want to know is, what do you want to know? What more about this do you want to know that we can address and talk about? But also give us some pointers, so that those that are watching and listening and commenting, that we can just kind of grow and build upon, the idea of why, I guess, why it's important to pay attention to other competitive countries,
right? And
why it's even that much more important for us to make sure that we remain competitive.
Right, we have to remain competitive.
We have to remain competitive, and the way to do that,
number 5, number 6, and that's not a positive place.
It's not a good place to be technically. So we got to get our education up.
Right.
We have to get our diplomacy or diplomatic relations need to be better. This is why we're in different parts of the world. This is why we need to be an influence, and a positive influence.
Right, we have to engage
negative influence.
Third world countries,
or if you will, whatever.
Those non-GA countries in
right.
a positive way, a way that's different than the way we've done it before.
Okay.
We can't just use them as we see fit. We have to give them something of equal benefit.
Okay.
And that's not weapons.
Right.
And it's not, an American flag. Right. It's sound policy, a chance at growth, to become partners on the world stage. That's what China does. That's why they're our biggest threat.
As opposed to lecture, like, do what we
do. Do this. You gotta be a democracy.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Right.
Because God forbid you act like us. We run around and
And China doesn't care. You could be Muslim. You could be a Muslim nation. You could be communist. You could be democratic.
They
you
just
could be
getting in there,
republic.
and you're getting
you got what we want.
They're influencing.
We'll work a deal. We'll figure it out.
They're getting their ideas across. All right, that's cool. All right, we're gonna wrap it up there. Thank you again.
No problem.
All right, cool. Turn it off. Thank you.